It's hard to argue that the Minnesota Vikings have the best coaching staff in the NFL, especially with Andy Reid still coaching, but they're not far behind. The Vikings have started the season 3-0, which is remarkable given their preseason expectations. Projected to finish last in the NFC North, they used the 10th overall pick on quarterback J.J. McCarthy, who hasn't played a single snap this season. Despite getting no contribution from their top pick, the Vikings have rattled off 3 straight wins, including high-quality victories. They beat the San Francisco 49ers in Week 2, then dominated the Houston Texans 34-7 on Sunday. Both teams are likely to be division champions and serious Super Bowl contenders by season's end. It will be fascinating to see where the Vikings season leads, and also what becomes of their defensive coordinator, Brian Flores. Flores' defense has been a major reason for Minnesota's hot start. Last week, the 49ers managed only 7 points through 3 quarters. This week, the Texans were shut out in the first half and didn't score until late in the third quarter, by which point the Vikings had built a 21-0 lead. The Vikings might not have top 5 talent on defense, but they're performing like a top 5 unit, and that's a testament of Flores' coaching. The Texans struggled to generate a running game or explosive plays in the passing game, which is unusual for quarterback CJ Stroud, who had one of his worst performances as a pro. Minnesota's defense plays fast and physical, with relentless pressure and disciplined coverage. They confused Stroud and made him look lost, something few teams have managed to do. While Flores' defense is excelling, head coach Kevin O'Connell is maximizing the offense. Sam Darnold is playing the best football of his career on a consistent basis. It helps to have Justin Jefferson as a target, but Darnold has been without Jordan Addison and TJ Hawkinson, who are both sidelined with injuries, and it hasn't slowed him down. After briefly leaving Sunday's game with a knee injury, Darnold received a standing ovation when he returned to a field, an indication of how much he's impressed through the first 3 games. The Vikings are at the top of the NFC North in the early stages of the season, and they've shown in back-to-back weeks that they can beat top-tier teams. Coaching makes all the difference in the NFL, and Minnesota is proving that. While Sam Darnold and J.J. McCarthy experienced the challenges of Brian Flores' defense during the summer, C.J. Stroud got a full taste of what Kevin O'Connell meant by that on Sunday afternoon. Coming into the game, Stroud hadn't thrown an interception since before Thanksgiving of last year and had only one multi-interception game in his career. That streak ended on his first official throw of the day, and he threw the second pick in the fourth quarter with the Vikings leading 24-7. Throughout the week, Vikings coaches challenged their players to wage both mental and physical warfare against the Texans' high-powered offense. This meant giving no pre-snap indicators and forcing Stroud, offensive coordinator Bobby Slowick, and the rest of Houston's offense to rethink every call, whether from the sideline or on the field. The strategy was to make Houston earn every yard. After Stroud's first interception, the Texans' next drive took 13 plays to gain just 39 yards and ended with a missed field goal. In the second quarter, Houston started moving the ball but continually ran into roadblocks. The disciplined and complex Vikings defense kept knocking them off schedule with penalties and negative plays, winning key downs in a long yard situations. It was especially hard for Houston to prepare because the Vikings, by design, played differently than they had in Week 1 against the Giants or Week 2 against the 49ers. This adaptable approach stems from the shared coaching philosophy of O'Connell and Flores, both of whom got their start working under Bill Belichick. In fact, the two were on the New England Patriots together in 2008. Flores is a young assistant coach and O'Connell as a rookie quarterback. They crossed paths in later years at scouting events and games, but it was during O'Connell's interview with Flores that he recognized a kindred spirit. Both coaches believed in creating units that could change from week to week, forcing opponents to play out of their comfort zones. They also prioritized having smart, reliable, and tough players, with veterans like Harrison Smith and Harrison Phillips on the roster. O'Connell gave Flores, then an assistant in Pittsburgh, a solid foundation to execute that vision. Flores went all out with the pressure in the first half, but adjusted in the second. According to Next Gen Stats, the Vikings blitzed CJ Stroud on over half of his first half dropbacks, but scaled it back to 27.3% in the second half. When blitzed, Stroud completed 9 of 15 passes for 103 yards and 1 touchdown with an interception and a 75.1 passer rating. Surprisingly, he struggled even more when not blitzed. Against standard pressure, Stroud went 11 of 16 for 112 yards, no touchdowns, another interception, and with a 63.5 passer rating. Even though the Texans may have anticipated some of Flores' tactics, they had few solutions. Flores, true to form, added layers of complexity and subtle tricks into his defensive schemes. From the very first play, Flores had Stroud rattled. A misfire to Nico Collins, compounded by a holding penalty on tight end Cade Stover, illustrated just how effective Flores at disguising his pre- and post-snap looks. It wasn't just about shifting safeties, it was the chaos underneath. By the time Stout hit his back foot to throw, he was completely unsure of where to go. The Vikings sent 5 rushers, with Blake Cashman creating an overload on the offensive right side, but the real impact came from Flores seemingly getting into Stout's head, knowing his plan from the start. Stout's first interception came on the very next play, facing a Vikings cover 3 that unusually looked like cover 3 even pre-snap. Stout saw 5-man pressure again, with Cashman blitzing and Andrew Van Ginkel joining the rush instead of dropping into coverage. Minnesota's defense executed perfectly, even behind what seemed like a standard coverage. Harrison Phillips, fresh off a 2-year, $15 million contract extension, tipped a pass intended for Tank Dell on a quick sit route. The knee injury that briefly sidelined Sam Darnold late in the third quarter was minor enough for the Minnesota Vikings to allow him back on the field after missing just 1 play. Like I said, the crowd at US Bank Stadium erupted with relief and cheers as Sam Darnold jogged back onto the field into the huddle. Head coach Kevin O'Connell has praised Darnold's quick adaptation to the Vikings' complex offense, as well as his improved footwork in the pocket, a key to making the system function effectively. Darnold's third touchdown pass on Sunday, the only one not on third down, showcased his poise and execution. On that play, Darnold smoothly moved through his progressions, starting with receiver Brandon Powell, then tight end Johnny Munt, before pivoting left to find Jalen Naylor cutting across the middle of the end zone. Darnold delivered a perfectly placed pass to give the Vikings a commanding 21-0 lead. Defensively, the Vikings continue to shine. Their pass rush, which leads the league with 16 sacks, grabs the most attention, but they're also solid against the run, allowing just 3.57 yards per rush, which is the 3rd best in the NFL. Darnold didn't have many deep options against the Texans, with only 1 pass play over 25 yards, while Justin Jefferson had his usual impact with 6 catches for 81 yards and a touchdown. The absence of Jordan Addison and TJ Hawkinson has started to affect the frequency of open looks downfield. Jalen Naylor, however, has stepped up, catching a touchdown in each of his first 3 games. Though he's proving himself as a capable sidekick to Jefferson, he may be more suited to a number 3 receiver role when Addison returns. Next up, the Vikings face a challenging matchup against NFC North rival Green Bay Packers in their first September trip to Lambeau Field in 5 years. After that, they head to London for another tough test against 4-time MVP Aaron Rodgers and the 2-1 Jets. Brian Flores and the Vikings defense is a huge reason for their successful 3-0 start. A lot of people didn't expect them to win against the Texans, but the defense proved that they can be a top group across the entire league. The schemes Brian Flores is creating for this defense, putting all the right pieces in the right places, is a testament to their great start. They're 3-0, and Sam Darnold in the offense is having a great start, but this defense is a main reason why the Vikings are 3-0 right now. You gotta give credit to Brian Flores in this defense, because they are a top defense in the league. If you watch back the game, CJ Stroud had no time to read his options or to make any passes. It was a tough game for Stroud, one of his worst performances in his NFL career, and it was just because the defense was getting to him so quickly. Brian Flores in this defense is going to continue to improve and get better every single week. Let me know down below what you guys think of this Vikings defense and the Vikings start overall this season. And if you made it this far and you haven't already, make sure you go down below and you subscribe and you turn the notification bell on so you never miss a Vikings video or any video at all. Leave a like as well. I greatly do appreciate it, and I'll see y'all in the next one.